and try and predict what is going to happen in this Premier League season. So, without any further ado, let's just begin, and we'll see where it ends up. Obviously, a lot of water left to go under the bridge. Still, the transfer window is open and will remain open for the next 3 and a bit weeks. Of course, things can change as as you know the as we move along. A big variable in this is going to be the Saudi Pro League. We have seen how the teams have been affected with the players moving on. Manchester City have lost Riyad Mahrez, and other teams have been affected. Newcastle United, my team, have lost Alan and Maximan. So it's definitely going to be interesting going forward as to what happens and who other teams bring in. Manchester United, of course, are still quite active in the market. More so on the selling side, Chelsea are looking to buy Moises Caicedo. West Ham are the only club who haven't bought anybody so far this season, but let's see. And of course, another thing to keep in mind is that from next season onwards, fifth place spot could could potentially, and I am fairly certain it uh, would be good enough for the Champions League spots. So we'll see what happens during the course of the season. Of course, the season hasn't even begun yet, and there are a lot of things that could happen, and of course, 9 months left to go before we know what happens, how this season has been affected by a lot of things, and yeah. So without any further ado, let's just begin. Three new teams in Premier League this season, new as in like uh, three promoted teams. We have, of course, Burnley, who were quite regular in the Premier League for the last 6 7 years before they were relegated. And then we have Sheffield United, who were also relegated, and then we have, of course, Luton Town, who have had tumultuous a few years with going all the way to non-league football before coming back, and now they are back in the Premier League thanks to their win over Coventry City in the Championship playoff final. A big game, and they won, and they are in the Premier League, rightly so. I think they finished third in the Championship behind who else got promoted? Of course, Burnley and Sheffield United. So let's begin from the top. We'll do a bit of a mix, and then we'll at the end we'll also try and predict who do we think is going to you know who is going to perhaps win the Golden Glove, who is going to be the flop of the season, who which signing I think will do really well, and then we'll see from there how it goes. So let's just begin from the very top. Who I think will win the title? I think, sorry to disappoint everybody, but I think this season it will once again be Manchester City, and so let's just put it in Manchester City. Let's just increase the size. Manchester City. Let's make the color blue, not yellow, light blue. So Manchester City for me will be the top club this season again, which means they would have won the Premier League for 4 consecutive seasons, and no team in the history has done that. Of course, Manchester United have won the Premier League three times in a row, twice, once in the 90s, and then from 2007 to 2009, three seasons consecutively, they won the Champions League. They won the Premier League thrice in a row, which is quite a big achievement. But Pep Guardiola, as it is, he would want to he would want to go one better and want to showcase his prowess and how he's perhaps one of the best managers, if not the best manager in the Premier League. Sir Alex Ferguson, of course, widely regarded as the best manager in the Premier League. So yeah, in terms of signings, they have brought in Mateo Kovacic. They have they have also brought in Josko Guardiol. They've lost Riyad Mahrez, who's gone to Al Ahly, I think, in Saudi Pro League. Yeah, and we'll see how it goes with how they go with. They've of course been linked with Lucas Paqueta as well, and we'll see how it goes, of course. And then in second place, it's going to be a tough fight. I think Arsenal, they did give Manchester City a big run for their money in during the last part of last season. They finished in the end quite comfortably. They finished second. Yes, they might have won a few games. Manchester City in their last two games against Brentford and Brighton and Hove Albion. I don't think they. I don't think they put in their best teams. They took off Erling Haaland quite early in those games, and yeah, so that's how I think it will be. Arsenal have strengthened their team. You would think that Kai Havertz, Julian Timber, who did really well in the Community Shield at left back. Of course, he can play right across the back four as a central defender and as a right back as well. So Julian Timber, Kai Havertz, looks like David Raya is coming as well, and of course they have brought in Declan Rice, who's the British record signing for any club. So of course they are better than what they were last season in terms of any departures. Not any main ones to say. They have Gabriel Jesus is injured currently. Kieran Tierney may move on as left back. Takehiro Tomiyasu may move on as well. Alexander Zinchenko is there. So let's see how it goes for Arsenal. But for me, they'll of course, not of course, but like they will finish. They'll finish second in the Premier League this season. Then, of course, I think third might sound like uh, I may be repeating last year's table or something like that, but I think it's a close fight between Manchester United, of course, and Liverpool. So uh, I I think Manchester United have done some really smart business this season. They have brought in Mason Mount. They have brought in Rasmus Højlund. Of course, he's going to miss quite a chunk, not quite a chunk, but like quite a chunk of August at least. He's going to miss. They have brought in Andre Onana, which will affect or improve the style of play. David De Gea moving on is a big sliding doors moment perhaps for um, Manchester United, but of course you don't shell out the money that Manchester United did for Andre Onana and let David De Gea move on if you didn't think you were getting an upgrade. So they have done quite smart business. Sofian Amrabat may come in. Harry Maguire is expected to leave. Donny van der Beek may leave. Fred may leave, and of course, there are chances that Scott McTominay may leave as well. That's one thing that Manchester United may still look to do. Of course, they can bring in players as well, and we'll see who they bring in. But let's look at Liverpool as well. I think Liverpool have done decentish, decentish in terms of transfer business. Decentish. I mean, let's say jury is still out on that. They brought in Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai from RB Leipzig, and McAllister, of course, from Brighton, World Cup winning midfielder from Argentina. But they have let a lot of players leave as well. They let Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain leave. They let Naby Keita leave. They have let James Milner leave. They have let Roberto Firmino leave. They have sold Fabinho. They have sold Jordan Henderson. Of course, there are young players as well, like Stefan Bajcetic, who who's a who did reasonably well last season. Harvey Elliott is a player who might get more of a chance. Diego Jota, Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, David Nunez, Mohamed Salah. These are all players that that will get the chance. Who knows? Jurgen Klopp might change his formation. He might play 4-2-3-1. Trent Alexander-Arnold can play in midfield. So Joe Gomez may play right back, or the guy they signed from Scotland last year. I can't get his name. Charlie something, McAllister or something like that. So he might get his chance, and so that's one thing. But I think for now, yes, Liverpool may beat Manchester United in both their games. They may lose as well. But I think looking at it from now, and from the transfer business that has been done, Liverpool, of course, are still in for Romeo Lavia from Southampton. But Manchester United, overall, in terms of squad wise, they look slightly stronger. So I'm going to go with Manchester United in third spot, and of course Liverpool in fourth. So let's just put both of them in right now. Just correct it. United, and then fourth place I have Liverpool. So yeah, so that's one thing we can say that that's your top four, and for next season, as I said earlier, fifth place might be good enough for a Champions League spot. Probably will be. And for in fifth place, I'm going to go with Newcastle United, who I think, in my eyes, have done reasonable business. They've brought in Sandro Tonali from AC Milan. AC Milan, of course, reached the quarterfinals of the Champions League. They and Then we have Valentino Livramento, who's been brought in as a cover for the right back position. He'll uh, he'll uh, he'll be cover for Kieran Trippier, who's not getting any younger, but was probably the right back for the right. He would have gotten in the team of the season, and who else? We have got Harvey Barnes from relegated Leicester, but he's made an excellent start to his Newcastle season with 2 goals against Villarreal and an very encouraging performance in US against Chelsea and Brighton and Hove Albion. So, yep, overall it's been a decent sort of a transfer window for Newcastle United, and then. So, in fifth place, I'm going to go with Newcastle. Although I'll be honest, it might be my bias talking, but there's a chance that Newcastle could finish third. It's really that close between Manchester United and what do you call uh, Manchester United, Liverpool, and Newcastle United, because Liverpool, yes, they have brought in 2 players of real quality in McAllister and Sobotolai, but their defense looks a bit vulnerable. They haven't added to it. I don't know for how long. I'm like Konate came in. I think last season he's been decent, but um, it's a long season. They are in Europa League as well, so let's see. But for now, let's go with Newcastle in fifth place, and let's just put it here. United, and what we'll do is we'll put it in black. No, this thing. Not working. Let's put it black, and then we'll make it white. So that's how I think it will be. In sixth place, I am going to go with Aston Villa. You might be surprised, but Aston Villa are really quality side. They did really well last season, and they have added to the squad. If you are a fantasy Premier League player who or someone who plays fantasy Premier League, then it's a big punt. I don't know how to say it, but like one dark horse that you can choose for your team is perhaps uh, Musa Diaby, who they have signed from Bayer Leverkusen. An absolutely lethal left foot, pace, trickery, everything was at Bayer Leverkusen was superb throughout the season, and French international, and of course and and yeah, pace to burn, and and yeah, of course, apart from Musa Diaby, they have brought in Tillemans, and you might say they lack a striker to do the job properly, but there's a chance that 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 Diaby be uh, will be a big hit for Aston Villa, and he's already scored twice, at least twice in pre-season. I remember him scoring against Brentford as well as Fulham in the pre-season. So let's see how it goes. But for me, Aston Villa will be the team that finish sixth. So let's just put them in Aston Villa, and we'll color it according to their colors, which is like this. Let's just put it blue, claret and blue. I don't know. And then I'm going to go with Chelsea. Chelsea. We'll talk about Chelsea. There's quite a bit to talk about them. And let's just put it here. Um, so Chelsea, in my eyes, have sold a lot of players this season. Kepa may still go. They have got, of course, brought in Musa, not Musa, Robert Sanchez from Birmingham. He's a decent keeper, but he was a backup at Brighton and Hove Albion, and then yep, so Kepa may go. Bayern Munich have been linked with Kepa Arrizabalaga. They've sold Christian Pulisic. They've sold Ruben Loftus-Cheek. They've sold Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They have sold Kai Havertz. They've sold uh, Kalidou Koulibaly. They have sold who else they have sold. I'm sure I'm missing out on some other players as well, but they've sold on a lot of players this season, and it's they brought in a few as well. Some players have returned from loan as well. They you could say Malo Gusto from Lyon, and then we have Ian Matson, who did really well at Ian Matson. He did really well at Burnley, who got promoted, and then we have we have other players. Nicholas Jackson, who was really impressed at Premier League, scoring a lot of goals in pre-season. He looks a real handful for defenses, and I'm sure he's going to do really well in the upcoming season. And who else? Uh, Unfortunately, Christopher Nkunku is expected to be out for a little while, and and yeah, that's going to be a big miss. He was expected to be a star for Chelsea, but unfortunately, knee injury and surgery means that 4 months he'll be out for. Moises Caicedo may come in. Mauricio Pochettino is coming in. We had a decent preseason. Yes, you could say that they won their I mean, like, the US Premier League Summer Series, but I don't think they are any great shakes for now. And yeah, so that's one thing that Chelsea have to contend with. They finished in second half, and from there, if you compare seventh, I think is a decent place for them. So let's go. I am going to go with Chelsea to finish seventh in this Premier League season. It will be tough. They'll perhaps end with Conference League, or maybe even Europa League football, depending on how things turn out. But for now, I think I can't see any better than seventh. Of course, strange things can happen, but I can't see them happening right now. Next, eighth, I'm going to go with Tottenham. I don't think they have done much this transfer window. I'm going to go with Tottenham Hotspur, and just a minute, and Tottenham Hotspur to finish eighth. Harry Kane scored 3 or 4 goals against Shakhtar Donetsk 3 or 4 days back. Tottenham lost to Barcelona last night. They were ahead for a while, but then ended up losing the game 4-2. They brought in Mickey Van de Ven from Wolfsburg. Harry Kane, talking about Harry Kane, let's just come back to him. Harry Kane, in my eyes, will leave for Bayern Munich. You don't get smoke of that magnitude without any fire. Of course, Joe Louis, he's already told Daniel Levy that he wants Harry Kane sold if he's not going to sign a new contract. And Daniel Levy, from what we know, would want to get the best deal for Tottenham. He can't afford to miss out on 100 odd million for a player and then end up losing him for free. And doesn't look like Harry Kane is going to sign a new contract with Tottenham. And I I'd say that Harry Kane would leave. That means that the new Argentine striker that Tottenham have signed uh, will uh, will have to shoulder the responsibility along with Richarlison, Son. But of course, this is pure speculation, and Richarlison, Son. Who else? James Madison has been brought in. He's expected to do big things. Uh, who else have they brought in? I'm sure they have brought in a few other young players as well. Yves Basuma is a good player if he can stay fit. Oliver Skep, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, new manager in for Tottenham in Ange Postecoglou. Big expectations from him as well, and let's see. But I mean, if Harry Kane has a season like he had last year, and he can get support from Richarlison and Heung-min Son, with James Madison chipping in with his superb free kicks, they could do better. But for now, I think there is too much flux going on, too much outside noises. I don't know if you have um, read or heard this, that their majority owner Joe Louis was indicted by U.S. authorities, and I don't want to say something which you know which could not be true. So I'd stick to not saying anything more than what I know. So I'd say that Tottenham are where they are, and they will finish uh, where they where they are. I mean, like uh, where we think it's going to be. So up next, who else? So next, I think it will be Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton and Hove Albion. Let's just put them in blue with the. Okay. So that's what we have. Brighton and Hove Albion. I think they will finish. They'll finish ninth. That's Brighton and Hove Albion. Once again, a club who's been affected by player sales during the season, and you know Alexis McAllister has left. Uh, Dennis Undav, who did really well last season, has left. I think he's signed for Union Berlin in Germany, or VfB Stuttgart in Germany, one of the two Bundesliga teams. So I'm not exactly sure where or how, if they have strengthened. One player who I am really excited by is Simon Adingra, who's done really well with in the preseason and we'll we'll wait and see how it turns out for them. Danny Welbeck is still there in terms of midfield. Caicedo may leave. Caicedo may leave, and uh, are there any other expectations? Of course, Mohamed Kudus from Ajax could come in, and that would really boost their chances of uh, of doing really well. Ghanaian international has done really well for Ajax. Really technical player who can who can do really well, and Mitoma is there, of course, one of the players of the seasons last year, and he did really well. And we have Pascal Gross, of course, in terms of defense. Levi Colville has left as well. Let's see who they bring in. Adam Webster, I'm not sure about where he is in terms of the pecking order as to who they go for in their defense. Of course, Louis Dunk is there. Purvis Estupinian, Joel Weltman can play in central defense, and yeah, so that's for Brighton and Hove Albion. And Solly March, of course, he had a um, a spell where he was doing really well, but injury cut short his season. So they lost Leandro Trossard midway through the season. So let's see how Brighton get on in their quest. And for 10th, I'm going to go with I'm going to go with I'm really torn here. So I'm going to go with Brentford. So let's just put this thing in. Let's just put it right here. We'll put red. So Brentford in 10th. That's where I think Brentford will finish. Not They haven't done too much in terms of season in terms of transfers. Yes, yes. Yeah, Nathan Collins has come in, but Ivan Tony's suspension is a big blow. Last season they were on the crest of a wave, so I think they finished well in terms of their finishing position. But I think this season it will be a tougher graft. Mikkel Damsgaard is a signing that I would expect to hit to hit the ground running this season. Last season was a bit of a betting in season for him. So that's what I think will happen. And yeah, yeah. So Brentford, I don't know what else they have done. Kevin Schade, um, more is expected out of him, but let's see how it goes. 11th, I'm going to go with Fulham. On this one. So Fulham is formatted. So that's Fulham for you in 11th place, but that's keeping in mind that or is predicated on the fact that um, that Mitrovic stays. There are chances that he may move on. Mitrovic has been linked with Saudi clubs. Fulham have they might also lose. They might also lose Willian, who's been linked with Saudi club Al Shadab or something like that. I'm not too sure of the name, so let's not go there. And so a bit too much going on there. Mitrovic, as far as I know, didn't play in the uh, in the Premier League Summer Series at all, and so it's interesting to see how he is bedded back in with the squad. Um, Wakin Anderson and no, not Anderson. The central defensive pairing that they have is okayish, and but it's this season is going to be a bit of a test for Fulham, who let's see how they do. But I, having written this, I think I might have overestimated their position, but but well, we'll find out in the fullness of time as to who does that. In 12th place, I'm going to go with West Ham United. So for them, I am going to go with the same, a bit of a brown tinge with this uh, claret-ish kind of. So West Ham in 12th, uh, mainly because for now they haven't brought any players in. They've lost Declan Rice. They have they've lost Declan Rice. Looks like they may lose Lucas Paqueta. I mean, it's not certain, but there are chances. Manchester City have their eyes on Lucas Paqueta, and who else? They they may get the man. Manchester West Ham don't want to sell Paqueta, but it might not be in their hands. So Lucas Paqueta may move to Manchester City. The strong links that Manchester City are interested, and yeah, so they've been linked with Harry Maguire. The fee has been agreed with Manchester United, and then we have uh, fee has been agreed with Southampton uh, for James Ward-Prowse as well. So two bodies coming in. Um, they have also agreed a deal with the Mexican international Edson Alvarez, who is a really good player. Came through Ajax, and not came through, I mean, like he's been playing for Ajax for a while now, and looks like that deal could be getting done. So Edson Alvarez, it's in terms of strong squad, it looks strongish. Let's say they lost Gianluca Scamacca, Declan Rice, as I said, who was their captain, and yeah. So that's one thing that West Ham have to contend with. They are also in Europa League. Uh, West Ham, that is. Let's see how it goes. It will not be easy. So, yep, West Ham to finish in 12th place. Now it gets really interesting. I'm not too sure as to who I like, but I'm fairly certain that Crystal Palace won't be in any relegation trouble. So Crystal Palace, I'm going to go with them in 13th place, although I might change that opinion a bit. So, which color should I go with? Let's go with this one, Crystal Palace, and so Crystal Palace for me uh, finish in 13th. They haven't done anything substantial, or let's say anything at all for that matter. They were they brought in Jefferson Lerma from Bournemouth on a free, and then they have let Wilfred Zaha go. Let, as in, like, his contract was up. They've let Luka Milivojevic go. They've let uh, they've let who else? They've let, James MacArthur has left. I haven't seen any players being linked. Yes, they've been linked with Lewis Hall from Chelsea, uh, who 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 is a really good player. Uh, Newcastle were linked with him, and then and then it was what it was. It didn't actually turn out the way. I mean, you never know how much truth there is to stories like these, and yep. So that's one thing. So yeah, Crystal Palace to finish 13th, and then now 7 teams left. Let's now go to the bottom of the table and see how things, according to me, how they'll turn out. So I'm going to go in 20th. I'm going to go with Luton Town. Uh, I don't know which color they play in actually, so I'm going to go with the red. Anyways, let's go with yellow, or let's say because it's the relegation zone, let's keep it red itself, and then we'll have Sheffield United, and they play in red and white, so I'm going to just format same thing. And yeah, so these two I think will definitely go down. And So these two I think will definitely go down, and in my eyes. And I mean, like, Sheffield United's best player is Sanderberg, and he's set to leave for Burnley. Uh, Deal has been agreed. They have sold their perhaps most potent player in uh, NDA, who's Cameroonian international. I think is gone to Marseille, and so I don't know who actually is there to help them, score goals. The transfer position, I don't know if they are under an embargo or something like that or not, but that's the thing, and let's see. Miracles can happen. Everybody last year said that Bournemouth were definitely going to go down. They didn't. It was other teams that went down, and Leicester, Leeds, and Southampton. Who would have thought that? So that's another thing that you need to keep in mind. So, but from the outside, it doesn't look great for these two teams. Um, they they do well to accumulate points that they probably would need. I'm saying this thing because in terms of points, I can see them combined. I can see them getting enough enough points, enough points combined in terms of to survive. So that's bad. That's how bad I think this situation is for both these teams. And the third team, you might be I'm just going to keep you waiting with this. So in 14th place I'm going to go with Burnley, newly promoted under Vincent Company. So for them, I'm going to go with this shade of uh, shade of blue, and so Burnley in 14th place for me. They play an attractive style of football, and and yep, Burnley, they brought in some good players. Sanderberg, as I said, is on the verge of signing from Sheffield United. They've been in contact with Ajax for Mohamed Rami, the the uh, the Denmark international. So that's one more thing that is worth keeping in mind. So, and there have been a couple of other signings. Wout Weghorst has today gone on loan to TSG Hoffenheim in Bundesliga. I mean, I didn't think he would have played much under Vincent Company. He's I mean, like Wout Weghorst isn't a Winston Company type of player, and yeah, so I don't think uh, Wout Weghorst is a big loss for Burnley. But at TSG Hoffenheim, he could perhaps do well. He did well at Wolfsburg before his move to Burnley, and then he went out on loan to Manchester United and of course Besiktas in Turkey. So these that's 14th is Burnley. In 15th place, I am going to go with Everton. Yep. So Everton narrowly avoided relegation last year. So for them, I'm going to go with this. What shade of blue? This shade of blue. So Everton, I don't know who or if they signed any players. Ashley Young, there's a young Portuguese 18-year-old they are about to sign. Yes, your heart probably goes out to Dele Alli, who's come back on loan from Fenerbahce or Besiktas, whoever it was in Turkey. But Sean Dyche, Tarkovsky, and Connor Cody has left as well. And I, I, I genuinely do not know how Everton are going to get enough points to be, you know, enjoyable to watch. Because let's be honest, we all know they're going to finish in the bottom half. They don't have enough money to spend because of financial fair play. They they'll probably not sign anyone of note. The big thing for them is if, Demarai Gray is in fact looking to move Fulham perhaps, um, and then we have striker in terms of striker. If they can keep Dominic Calvert-Lewin fit, they'll probably escape relegation. They'll probably flirt with it, but probably about 3 or 4 matches to go, they'll probably avoid relegation, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But I mean, like, I don't like. I'm not a big fan of Everton. They seem a bit too entitled as a club. So I don't see Everton having a good season. Sean Dyche, yes, he did well last year, but this year perhaps is I mean, like, the expectations will be low, and then performance will be low as well. Their first match is against Fulham. Let's see how they do, and we'll see how it turns out. So we have 15th. We have 3 teams left to go. We have Bournemouth, we have Wolves, and we have who else do we have? Who am I forgetting? And who am I? Wolves, uh, Bournemouth, Wolves. I haven't put it all 3 teams. I'm doing all this off the cuff. I haven't you know practiced it. I'm just going doing it off the cuff. Uh, who else? London Club, no. Norwich, Ipswich, no. Well, I, I don't know who am I forgetting in this. Who else? Mm, uh, who else? I mean, it's really, really struggling with this. Uh, Wolves, Bournemouth, and sure I'm forgetting someone. Let's just look at the Premier League table and let's see. Bournemouth, Wolves. Yeah, of course. So I'm going to go with Nottingham Forest. Forest with this and going with Nottingham Forest in 16th place. Uh, I think last year they spent a ton of money. A lot of players were brought in by Nottingham Forest. They Now this season they have to consolidate. They can't spend that much money. They can't bring in that amount of players. Renan Lodi has left. John Joe Shelby looks like leaving. Jack Colback has left. Who else has left? I mean, but the saving grace for Nottingham Forest is Brennan Johnson, who is their star player, along with Morgan Gibbs White. They both are still there. Um, Brennan Johnson looks like he could leave, but he may not. The it's important to he's quite important to Nottingham Forest. They would want good money for him, and then we'll have Danilo. We have Omar Mangala that the player they have. I'm not too sure about Luis Felipe's status. He was on loan from Atletico. I don't know whether that has been made permanent or not. They still need a goalkeeper, and Dean Henderson is perhaps linked. They were trying for someone else as well, some other goalkeeper. I'm not too sure whether who comes in. Not too sure about Keylor Navas's position as well. So it's important to keep everything in mind. Of course, they still have a lot of players. Ryan Yates, good player. Freuler, of course, a Swiss international. So these players are are important, and then up front Chris Wood and who else? The striker that they had who scored a lot of goals, scored against Arsenal as well. The name is escaping me. Um, Former Liverpool player that he was. I'm sorry, but the name is clearly escaping me. So, who was the guy they signed from Union Berlin? So, let's see. But for now, I think Nottingham Forest in 16th. In 18th, I am going to go with Wolves, and then by default, of course, 17th is AFC Bournemouth. So let's just make it like this. Mm, and and then we'll have Wolves in 18th. So Bournemouth and Wolves pretty close between these two. Um, Wolves, you must know, have lost their manager. Julian Lopetegui has left Wolves. I don't know what is happening at Wolves. Um, of course, Lopetegui has left. They've been linked with uh, Gary O'Neill, who was the Bournemouth manager, did really well to keep Bournemouth in the Premier League last season. And then, in terms of players, Uh, Ruben Neves has left. Nathan Collins has left. Max Kilman has been linked with Napoli. Not sure if he'll stay with the Wolves. João Moutinho is not the same player that he was, and not getting any younger either. And then we have who else? We have, I'm sure, Adama Traore will leave. Raul Jimenez is gone. He is gone to Fulham. Um, and I'm sure other players have left as well. They're basically relying on young players. I'm pretty sure that the Chinese owner that Wolves have, he said enough is enough, not too much more money to spend, and then they'll. I mean, I don't know if Wolves have brought in any players. Let me know if you know they've brought in any players or not. Uh, I mean, Wolves did really well to survive last season, but this season looks like a real slog for Wolves, and unfortunately, I think unless things change as things are today, I think I think it might be pretty dire season for you know for Wolves this season. Not too much attacking football. However, having said that, uh, Wolves, if they appoint Gary O'Neill, he did really well with Bournemouth last season. Helped them survive in Premier League with basically no hope and not too much spent in terms of money, and well, so that's where we are as things stand. Wolves to go down along with Sheffield United and Luton Town. Luton Town, the ground isn't even going to be ready for the start of the Premier League season. It's perhaps one of the smaller grounds, one of the smallest, I should say. Bournemouth is small. Bournemouth ground is small as well. So, of course, that may or may not help the atmosphere, but I think I think uh, it'll be a good season to enjoy. As I said, in terms of Premier League, there are five spots potentially up for grabs in the Premier League. And once again, just running it through, for me, uh, it's going to be Manchester City winning the title, Arsenal second, Manchester United third, Liverpool fourth, Newcastle fifth, Aston Villa sixth, Chelsea seventh, Tottenham Hotspur eighth, Brighton and Hove Albion ninth, Brentford 10th, Fulham 11th, West Ham United 12th, Crystal Palace 13th, Burnley 14th, Everton 15th, Nottingham Forest 16th, Bournemouth 17th, Wolves, Sheffield United, and Luton Town to finish in the bottom three position and going down. Let's talk about the individual performances who I think will do well. So, in terms of um, top goal scorer, let's just put it over there. Top goal scorer. Top goal scorer. I am going to go with, you know, just like last season. What is this? So, Erling Haaland, he scored 36 goals in uh, in the Premier League last season. So going with Erling Haaland this year as well. Um, he was didn't have that good Community Shield. Just 13 touches he had, Erling Haaland in the uh, in the Community Shield. Didn't score, didn't look like scoring. Most of the game was played where he couldn't get many touches. So that's where I think. But in come Premier League, Man City will be a different beast. Harry Kane, as I said, I don't think he'll be in Premier League this season. I think he'll move on. If he stays, he stays. But I think Harry Kane will end this season at Bayern Munich. He'll sign for Bayern Munich. I think Tottenham Hotspur will sell him, and and that's what it is going to be. And Erling Haaland will be the you know top goal scorer in my eyes. And then let's talk about signing of the season so far. Uh, Signing of the season, I'm going to go with. I haven't really given it much thought, but I think Declan Rice is in the running, as well as Dominic Soboslai, Moises Caicedo. If he moves in, he'll do really well. There are other players as well who could come into the picture. Um, but Musa Diaby, I think I'm going to go with Musa Diaby as my uh, signing of the season. Absolutely, as I said earlier, um, Aston Villa he's signed for. If you're not aware, Musa Diaby is going to be my signing of the season. Absolutely lethal hammer of a left foot, plays off right, uh, pace to burn, and Musa Diaby is going to be my signing of the season. Once again, reiterating: if you play fantasy Premier League, you have to take a punt on them. I don't. Honestly, I don't play that fantasy Premier League, but that's my signing of the season. Let's go for the flop of the season. Flop signing of the season last year. Honestly, you have to give it to either Richarlison. Some people were talking about Mikhailo Mudryk, but not for me. I think it would have been harsh. He came into a struggling side with the situation in his country as it was, but Richarlison, one goal, even that counted for nothing. Uh, so this is who I think in terms of new signing who will be the flop of the season. Of course, this is not something that we should be talking about, but we'll do that anyways. So flop of the season. Uh, So, I mean, I haven't given it much thought, honestly. But in terms of flop of the season, who could it be? Mason Mount has not, had the best of seasons with the pre-seasons with the Manchester United. Hasn't looked like that player that you would think, who's an England international and you know who should be doing more than I mean you would think he would Manchester United would want to see more from Mason Mount. So who could perhaps be the flop of the season? Uh, Declan Rice, of course not, but I'm fairly certain I'm going to go with, but I'm just discussing the options just to discuss like to talk about stuff. For me, I know who I am going to go with, but I think for first year at least, I think Dominic Szoboszlai is going to struggle in Premier League. He's a really good player. I like him, but there's a chance that he could struggle in the Premier League. Uh, who are other expensive signings? Sandro Tonali has come in at Newcastle. Uh, Perhaps my Newcastle bias speaking, but I am not counting him in for the flop of the season yet. But who else has come in? Manchester City have signed Joshua Guardiola, really top defender, and then uh, who else has come in? Manchester United have signed Andre Onana. I don't know if you saw. He got chipped from the halfway line by a launch player, Shotka, yeah, Sokta. I don't exactly remember his name, and so um, that's that's um, uh, that's one player who where the style of play that he has, it could go horribly wrong for Manchester United, and Liverpool we've covered. Who else? Manchester United we've covered. Arsenal we've covered, and Newcastle, Chelsea have spent some good money as well, and Nkunku who's already out for 4 months. So could we put should he be in the running just because of the injury that he has had? Um, so that's one thing that we must be taking into account. But let's go with who I think it is going to be. I'm going to go with dum 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 dum. Let's have the drum roll, and you can see with the. I think Kai Havertz is going to be the flop of the season for Arsenal. I don't know if you saw the game against game against Manchester City, where Arsenal in the Community Shield, it was absolutely dreadful. And I really shouldn't say this, but his favorite animal is a donkey, and it was like a donkey-esque performance by Kai Havertz, where he had two gilt-edged chances and failed to score from both of them. If he had scored, then it would have been a comfortable victory for uh, Arsenal, as it was. Arsenal won on penalties thanks to a late deflected goal by um, uh, Manuel Akanji own goal, and and it was what it was. So, guys, there we have it. We have covered everything. I've told you my how I think the Premier League table is going to go. My prediction for top goal scorer, um, my prediction for signing of the season, and my prediction for the flop signing of the season. Yes, I know, as you can perhaps see on the screen, Kai Havertz is going to be my flop of the season. I know he's moving from Chelsea to Arsenal, but the way he performed at Chelsea and the way he performed in the Sunday's Community Shield, I'm going to go with Kai Havertz. So there we have it. So friends, thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next videos. Do please consider subscribing to the channel. Please click like. It doesn't cost anything and it helps the channel. So requesting if you can subscribe to the channel and do share if possible. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next few videos. Take care. Bye.